Yeah. So we've discussed a number of times. I think it's a very. I mentioned this Friday night. Certainly in regard to like a Mr. Gelman, Allah Shalom. So there's a very beautiful teaching. Shemot has three basic themes. Right, the book of Shemot, the book of Exodus. We're at page 540. We're finishing Shemot, and then we're going to start Vayikra. What would you say the three main themes?
It doesn't say Shemot.
Shmos?
Shmos, it doesn't say Shmos. Oh, sorry, that's it.
Okay. So, what would we say are the three main movements, the three main themes of the book of Shemot?
So it's slavery.
Creation.
Redemption.
Okay, so Yetziat Mitzrayim. Okay.
And then the Anan.
Okay. So.
The Shechina.
Okay, I think you're missing one though. I would combine the first two. You said slavery and redemption and Exodus, and you mentioned the Mishkan, right? The tabernacle. We're missing an important one in the middle there. The Torah, right? So the three movements, the three main themes of the book of Shemot is the slavery and the redemption from Egypt, which includes the slavery, the plagues, splitting of the sea, right? All of that would go into Yetziat Mitzrayim, the exodus from Egypt, right? We have Pesach coming up. So, of course, we know the first day of Pesach, outside of Israel, the first days, corresponds to the exodus from Egypt. Then we have Chol HaMoed, we have intermediary days. And then the last day in Israel, days here outside, corresponds to the splitting of the sea, right?
And what was amazing, which I didn't realize before, that the New Year, Jewish New Year, starts with
right.
After the Pesach.
The months start with Pesach, right? Pesach is the first
month
of the year.
Not the Rosh Hashanah, but this one.
Right. So the year is Rosh Hashanah, and the months, right? That's one of the very interesting aspects. That Rosh Hashanah is the first day of the seventh month.
Month of the New Year.
Right. So we count months. Right. So even though the year starts then, we always count the months from Pesach, from Nisan, in order to always remember Yetziat Mitzrayim. To always focus, always remember that. So what month is it? It's the fifth month. Fifth from when? Fifth from the Exodus. Okay, so the first theme that we have there is the Yetziat Mitzrayim. And as I was saying before, we didn't fully leave Egypt, even in a physical sense, until the Kriyat Yamsuf, until the splitting of the sea, and we witnessed the demise of the Egyptians who foolishly followed us into this split sea, right? Perhaps thinking that God made the miracle for them to follow us, whatever they were thinking or they weren't thinking. But it was at that point that we felt comfortable and confident that, okay, we're not being dragged back there. So the first theme is Yetziat Mitzrayim, the Exodus. The second theme is Matan Torah, right? That is the watershed event of standing by Mount Sinai and receiving the Torah. And then the third, which basically the last five Parshiot dealt with, was the building of the Mishkan, of the tabernacle. And it's only at the very end that we find. Let's go to verse Lamed Daled, verse 34. Yafi bechavod, vayichas.
ויחס הענן את אוהל מועד, וכבוד השם מלא את המשכן, ולא יכול משה לבוא אל אוהל מועד, כי שכן עליו הענן, וכבוד השם מלא את המשכן. ובעלות הענן מעל המשכן ייסעו בני ישראל בכל מסעיהם, ואם לא יעלה הענן ולא ייסעו עד יום העלותו, כי ענן השם על המשכן יומם, ואש תהיה לילה בו לעיני כל בית ישראל בכל מסעיהם.
Beautiful. In English, please, from 34.
The cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of Hashem filled the tabernacle. Moses could not enter the tent of meeting, For the cloud rested upon it, and the glory of Hashem filled the tabernacle. When the cloud was raised up from upon the tabernacle, the children of Israel would embark on all their journeys. If the cloud did not rise up, they would not embark until the day it rose up. For the cloud of Hashem would be on the tabernacle for day, and fire would be on it at night, before the eyes of all the house of Israel throughout their journeys.
So the end of Shemot is God's presence resting upon us in a tangible way. Oh, good morning, Brana. How are you? Good to see you. So the Shemot ends with the glory of Hashem, the presence of Hashem, tangibly resting on the children of Israel. So it didn't rest on us when we left Egypt. It didn't rest on us in a permanent way when Moshe led the men in song of the Az Yashir, the song after the splitting of the sea, and when Miriam led the women in song. It didn't rest upon us in a permanent manner by Mount Sinai. It's by the Mishkan, that's where it rests upon us in a tangible, lasting manner. Why? Why of these three watershed events? Why is it the Mishkan in particular that is when we have this connection with Hashem, this tangible, lasting connection with Hashem?
The dwelling place of God.
Okay, but what's unique about that this became the dwelling place of God?
Is that when we made our commitment with God and He chose us?
Okay. Well, our commitment, that we, famously, Naseh v'nishma, we proclaimed, we will Naseh, we will do, and we will hear. Right? That was at Sinai. Right? That, according to the Medrash, when God approached us, the other nations asked, about the Torah. Well, what's in the Torah, right? Whereas our approach was, we'll do it, right? Now, what is it? Now, what is it that you want, right? If your spouse says, can you do some? Can you do me a favor, right? The answer is not, well, what do you want, right? The answer is yes. What can I do for you, right? It's a categorical yes, and then it's what can I do for you? Because understanding is that if our spouse is so endeared to us, they're asking us to do something, they're not asking us for something ridiculous. They're asking us for something that is well within our ability to do, and it's in our best interest to do it, right? That's Naseh v'nishma. So we made our pledge, Amy. We made our commitment, right? Even before that, right? We said we'll do it.
But wasn't there a threat? But if you don't accept it, there will be.
Okay.
There will under duress. We took it under duress.
Okay. So Rachel is bringing up a famous medrash that when the pasuk says, the verse says that we assembled tachti tahar. So, right, we explain it to mean at the foot of the mountain, but actually tachtit means beneath the mountain. So the Medrash says that God held the mountain over our head and said, accept the Torah or else. Here will be your burial place. And, right, so the way the Maharal and others explain, it wasn't literally that was mountain lifted up, but it was such an overwhelmingly clear vision, understanding of God that we had no choice, right? And actually, the Tosfot in the Talmud, one of the commentaries there ask, why was it? Well, how do we match? How do we bring together the Naseh v'nishma, our pledge, and the mountain over our head? And I think one of the answers he gives is there was the written Torah, there was the oral Torah. They deal with that, and actually, we just had Purim. So Purim is where we re-accepted the Torah, right? Me'ava, out of love. Yeah. There was no longer this this duress of this incredible clarity.
And anyway, God knew what's best for us.
That's true. But nevertheless, with all of that, the Shekhinah, the divine presence, did not come and rest upon us. It's only by the Mishkan. So an explanation that I saw from a number of places, Rabbi Sachs, I also saw it elsewhere, explains very beautifully. Mitzrayim, Egypt, the plagues, the splitting of the sea, God did it, and we were passive in the role that we played. Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah, the mountain is shaking and God is there, and we are passive in the role that we play. Here we built this Mishkan. It's not like God needs, an Airbnb, right? And therefore He asked us to build a Mishkan. He had places to stay, right? I think King Solomon, Shlomo Melech said, Hashamayim, when he built the temple, he said, Hashamayim u'shmei Hashamayim lo yichalkalucha. The heavens and the heavens of the heavens cannot contain you. Yet you are deciding to put your presence in a tangible way here in this house. Because we need that. It's a gift for us, but we need to make the effort. When we make the effort, that is when Hashem's presence comes and rests in a tangible way. A kid, does their little crayons, right? And the parent says, it's beautiful. And we hang it on the refrigerator, and then it gets framed, and then, right? Right? Why? Because our child made the effort, right? Believe me, right? The most incredible Mishkan to Hashem is like the crayon work, right? And that's why I kept saying before, the emphasis was Kol Nediv Libo Yivieha. Anyone whose heart inspired them, right, motivated them, right? It needed to come from the heart. The gold, the silver, whatever. That's not going to do it. That's not going to do it for Hashem. It was putting our effort in. And in our lives, when will we have this Hashrat Hashchina, this divine presence? When we push ourselves and make the effort. Right? I spoke about Mr. Gelman, alav shalom, who built, who did, right? Who was anything but passive, right? Throughout his lifetime, with all the personal hardships. And hardship is it doesn't do anything, doesn't do the least bit of justice. Yes, Dov.
Oh, I shouldn't say. Here was something that was totally done out of Hashem's commandments, totally, and it was to Hashem's specifications, so Hashem could go there. And then same thing, we have mitzvahs for us, so Hashem could go there.
Yeah. Look, whenever we perform a mitzvah, right? You light your candles, Shabbat, Friday afternoon. The blessings Asher Kiddishanu b'mitzvotav. You have sanctified us with your mitzvot, right? When we do an action, we become sanctified. We become kadosh. I mean, that's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening. With every mitzvah we're doing, we are bridging that this world and the spiritual world and making the connection. So with that we concluded the book of exile, the book of Shmot, the book which the Ramban calls the book of exile and redemption. It began, these are the names of the children of Israel who went down to Egypt. We began with exile, and we concluded with this redemption of God's presence resting on that Mishkan, on that tabernacle that we had built, and it was there, B'chol Mas Ehem. Throughout our journeys, God was with us throughout. That is the end of the book of Galut and Geula. Now we begin the book of Vayikra, which is all about constructing holiness, maintaining holiness. The holiness, how we would act in this Mishkan, later on in the Beit HaMikdash, in the tabernacle, and eventually in the temple. And we also have, so we have the Kedusha of that Makom, of the place, and we also have the Kedushat Hazman. We also have the holiness of times, right? Discussing Shabbat and discussing the holidays. And we also have Kedushat Ha'adam, the holiness of a person, discussing the different groups that we have.
So, how we get holy.
Yes, yes. Vayikra, and actually in the very first word of the very first pasuk, we also get a tremendous view in how we become holy. Right? Vayikra, page 544.
What is it? What is the translation?
Vayikra, and he called.
And you can.
El Moshe. Right? God called to Moshe. Vayidaber Hashem elav me'ohel moed. And God spoke to him from the Ohel Moed, from the tent of meeting, Lamor, saying. So what is this Ohel Moed? What is this tent of meeting? What's that a reference to?
Tabernacle. Tabernacle.
The tabernacle. From where in the tabernacle did the voice of God emanate?
From the Holy of Holies.
From the Holy of Holies. From where in the Holy of Holies did God's voice emanate?
Over the ark. From the ark.
Good. Above the ark we had the Kruvim, these cherub, right? These angel-like creature forms, right? Reaching out to one another, representing God reaching out to us and our reaching out to God. And it's right above the ark, which had in it the luchot, which the Beis HaLevi says represents that the way that we connect to God and the way God connects to us is through the Torah. Right? We've said a number of times, right? Every religion needs to have its revelation story, whatever we'll call it. Right? We're here, God is there. What are we supposed to do? Right? The Torah is our Torat Chayim, our Torah of life, our living Torah, or our instructions for life. So our longing for God and reaching out to Him and Him to us, that is predicated upon the Torah. That is teaching us what things bring connection and which things bring separation. That's what the Torah is. The mitzvot are things which cause bonding, and the prohibitions are stay away from things which cause distance, cause separation. And it was from there that the voice of Hashem emanated out. Now, this voice of Hashem, Rashi says very, very powerfully. Me Oel Moed, Rashi said, the voice stopped in that Oel Moed and did not go out beyond there. I might think because it was a low voice, it was a hushed whisper. So he said, no, we read into Tehillim, Kol Hashem Bakoach, the voice of Hashem is with power, Kol Hashem Shover Arazim, right? Hashem's voice shatters the sea, right? It's powerful, right? So we learn that it was a full-powered voice, and then it just stopped over there. It didn't go further. So a couple of interesting things on that. Well, why didn't it go further? Some explain, right? You know, right now, we're sitting here, right? And the only thing we hear is my voice, maybe a little bit of a hum of electricity. Take a radio, and turn it on. And what happens? Hundreds of stations. Right? Wi-Fi, all we could pick up over here is incredible. Right? The radio waves are all here. Right? They're all right. Every single station that we could pick up on the radio waves are here. Right? But we don't hear it. We don't hear it.
We didn't turn it on.
Huh?
We did not turn it on.
Right? And our ears, without turning on the radio, our ears aren't sensitized to it, aren't able to pick it up. We don't hear it. Moshe heard the voice. We don't hear the voice. Nobody else heard the voice. It was meant for him. But, I forget which Rav says this. Right? The Mishnah says in Avot, in Ethics of the Fathers, there's a bat kol, a heavenly voice that goes out every day from Har Chorev, saying, right, be concerned for the Torah, right? Oil el bona shel Torah, right? Whoa, right? Take this Torah seriously, but we don't necessarily hear it, right? Moshe heard that
Whose
voice.
fault is it?
A heavenly voice.
Whose fault is it that it was not intended for me, let's say, to hear it, but it was intended for her to hear it?
No,
It wasn't that I wasn't
Well,
willing to hear it.
well,
it was
If
deft.
Sunny prepared herself to hear it
Mhm.
and attuned herself to hearing it,
Yeah.
and I didn't, then I have to carry responsibility for that. But look at the first word. Vayikra el Moshe.
Small letter.
Right? What's strange in the Hebrew about that first word? Vav, Yud, Kuf, Resh, little aleph.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And in the Torah itself, there is a little aleph over there. Why the little aleph? So, Vayikra means God called. And this is a lashon of chiba, Rashi says. It's a tone of, it's a term of chiba, of love, of endearment. Elsewhere we have another prophet in the Torah. The prophet is Bilam. And there it says Vayikar. Right? Vayikar is without the aleph. Vayikar means like a mikre. It just happened. Right? That it wasn't this beloved attachment. It was just God happened to, I don't find it right now, God happened to speak to Bilam. Just 1 second. I don't find it right now. With Bilam, it was just a mikre. Here it is. On page 864. Take the 864, 865. Right? Posik Dalet, Vayikar Elokim El Bilam. God happened upon Bilam and said to him, etc., etc., etc. Not Vayikra, not that he called, Vayikar. He happened upon him. So Moshe, in his humility, didn't want to write that God called him, this endeared summoning, calling. So he wanted to write the same way that it was written by Bilam. This was Moshe in his humility. And Hashem said that no, right? You must write it with that aleph, but he wrote it as a smaller letter. Moshe, we know, was the most humble, had the most humility of all people. How? How can Moshe, the greatest Jew who ever was and who ever will be, how does he have humility? And this is important for us because, thank God, we all are healthy in mind, which means that we see what we have to offer. We don't look at ourselves and say, I'm a nothing, I'm a nobody. We look at ourselves and we see, I have what to offer. Right? So how do we understand Moshe's humility when Moshe was clearly the number one man, the number one person, right? When it came right by the burning bush, Hashem said to Moses, Moshe, you're the one, take them out. No, not me. Someone else. Shlach nabiyat tishlach. Send who you normally send. Aaron is more qualified. Some explain, Shlach nabiyat tishlach. Yoshua, Joshua will finish. Tishlach, he's who you will send to finish a job. Bring them into Israel. Let him start the job. Anyone but me. And God said, it's you. It's got to be you and only you. And the plagues, it's you. And and splitting of the sea, it's you. And Matan Torah, it's you, right? The giving of the Sinai experience, right? Ascending Mount Sinai, it's you. How does Moshe have humility at this point when clearly he is the number one man?
Okay. If you take two people, and one of them lives through a lot, what I'm trying to say, and realize that not everything depends on you, that, how can I say that? The person who has humility, a person who realized based on his experience and observing the life in general that he's only a tool in somebody's hand, not everything depends on him, not a lot depends on him, very little depends on him. Taking my son, he thinks that he is the king of the world, that everything he achieved, that it's up to him. It's not up to him. I mean, he was given the tools, and it was in certain ways he was allowed to succeed. In certain ways, he wasn't allowed to succeed.
I just saw from Rabbi Ben Sion Schaefer. He gives a nice parable. There's this guy operating this crane, and this crane is lifting up, tons and tons of rubble. Now, this guy is, like 250 pounds overweight, right? He's a chain smoker, right? So one of his friends says to him, you really got to get to the gym. You really have to take care of yourself. You have to watch what you eat. You really have to take care of yourself. He says, are you kidding? Are you? Look, I lift thousands of tons of rubble every day. You're telling me I need to go to the gym? Right? Right?
Yeah.
Right? That's what you're doing, right? You've got this incredible machine that you operate, right? But don't confuse yourself with the machine, right? And we have to realize, right? And I believe Moshe realizes that's a very beautiful way of looking at it, Rachel. That Moshe realized he was given an incredible machine. He was given incredible potential. He was assigned by God an incredible role. And he didn't say, I did this, I created this, I deserved this. I built all this. He recognized that he was chosen by God, right? Probably in his mind there were other better choices, but who am I to argue with God? Even though he did argue with God for 7 days, right, to choose someone else. So he didn't view this as the Torah calls it, kochi va'otzem yadi, right? My strength, right? And that's important, right? A person could realize, I'm an intelligent person, right? I'm good at this. I'm good at what I do. That's not a lack of humility. If a person says, wow, God gave me certain abilities,
That's it.
right? So now, on the contrary, I have an obligation. I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility to use the tools that I was given. Right? This horrific shooting in Florida, right? So, right, when there was a police officer who was armed, who was trained, who didn't use that training and the arms that he had to jump in there, so that caused a tremendous, tremendous outcry. Right? So, but to recognize, right, we have certain tools. We're blessed. God has given us certain tools, certain abilities. I heard a very beautiful teaching about a Mishnah that's often misunderstood. I heard this in the name of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. That there's a Mishnah in Avot, and again, Ethics of the Fathers, that says, Chayev kol adam lomar bishvili nivra olam. Every person is obligated to say, for me the world was created. Hey, I don't know if you realize that. The world was created for me.
Well, isn't there a little more?
Right? Sorry?
There's a little more to that too, the ending.
Well, not really. A person has to say, B'shvili nivra olam. The world was created for me. Okay, I want all of you to realize that you're sitting in the presence of someone for whom the world was created. Okay? Right? I mean, it sounds somewhat egotistical, but don't worry. It was created for you, and for you, and for you, and for you, right? It was created for that, right?
But there's a continuation to the sentence.
That's what
The first word, chayav. A person is obligated to say, the world was created for me. If there's an obligation in my saying it, it's not that I'm self-preening over here and I'm pointing to my importance. Chayav, I have an obligation to say that, which means if the world is created for me, then there are obligations on my part. So it's not this look how great, look how important I am. Look what a responsibility I have. Look what a responsibility I have. This was created for me. I better roll up my sleeves and get to work. I've got to make a difference over here. I better accomplish over here. It's an obligation. So Moshe was looking at it, that yes, I have certain abilities.
But I was a tool.
But I'm a tool, and I've got to use this. I've got to maximize this. If I don't maximize the tools that I've been given, then I'm like that officer outside the school who was given tools and given training and didn't use it. Right? Better off to have not had the abilities and the tools than to be given them and not to utilize them. So that is a very, very, Rachel, that is a very, very beautiful way of looking at it. And that's how we, humility, I've said this many times, I think one of my favorite quotes. It's not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself less. I'm not thinking less of myself. I'm a nobody, I'm a this, I'm not thinking less of myself. I'm thinking of myself less. Instead of what can I do for me, it's what can I do for others. Yes, Dov?
Isn't that like started with Moshe when he goes out? He's living in the palace, a royal palace, but he goes out and he partakes in the suffering of his people.
Excellent.
And there it is.
Excellent point, Dov. Excellent point, right? That Moshe, from the start, utilized his position of power not to self-aggrandize, but to help others, jeopardizing his position of power, right, in order to go and help others.
So that's already a start of becoming this humble person.
Yeah, yeah. And to recognize that if I have been given, right, these abilities, well, someone else who might have been given these abilities would probably have maximized them and utilized them even better than I. Right? And to realize, as Rabbi said, it's a tool, it's a gift. And I've got to utilize that gift. Right? Otherwise it's like that officer. Right? Others explain it in a slightly different manner. But what made Moshe the greatest of all people? He had the closest connection to Hashem, to God. So the closer one becomes to God and recognizes what God is, the more a person feels and recognizes and experiences who and what they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How diminished they are. Right? So am I comparing myself? What am I comparing myself to? Moshe is dealing one-on-one, peh al peh, we say, panim al panim, face to face, right, with Hashem. So Moshe had this incredible humility. So what happens here in Vayikra? Let's just start this. Daber al b'nei Yisroel, speak to the children of Israel. V'amar to them, and say to them, Adam ki yakriv mikem korban laHashem. Adam, a person, ki yakriv, when he will bring mikem, from you, a korban, an offering to Hashem, and then we list the different animals from which the offering will come.
What do you mean from you?
So what does it mean, mikem, from you? Right?
From a human being, and from the man. A man brings an offering from him to Hashem.
Okay. So first of all, Adam. Adam is the term that we use for mankind, but it refers to, well, Adam, the first man, and also refers to the Adamah, the earth from which we were taken. So Rashi says, why are we talking about Adam? So just like Adam, right, did not only brought from that which was his, so too make sure you're bringing from that which is yours. Right? Don't be a tzaddik, don't be a righteous person on someone else's account. Right? Make sure you're bringing, right? Others explain Adam. Wow. Right? This is, a person has gone wrong. And therefore they're bringing this sacrifice. Nowadays, we have our tefillah as our way of coming close to God. So we need to look at Adam. Adam was a person that, because of the mistake that he made, he set the world off on a different direction. He changed the world. And therefore, Adam, realize each and every one of us, we are Adam.
I didn't understand.
Adam. Adam and Eve.
I don't understand this whole concept that you've just been saying the last couple of years.
Okay. Adam, with his action, right, with the tree of knowledge of good and bad, changed the world.
To the worst.
To the worse.
Okay.
Right? And therefore, God calls out to each and every one of us and says, Adam, recognize.
Sinner.
No. No. Influencer. Center of the world. One who can have a tremendous effect in either direction. Realize, Adam, you are an Adam. You are like Adam. You make a tremendous difference in the world. What we do or don't do, okay?
The electricians here, they're going to turn some things off, and it might accidentally turn this off, so I just don't want you guys to be
Okay.
frightened.
We'll have
Is that okay?
different ambiance over here. Thank you. Okay. That's running on a battery dope, or that's running on a... We'll find out.
But we don't need
We'll find out. Right? So recognize that you are Adam. Right? That you play this role. You make a difference. Ki akriv mikem, you asked. Right? From you, a karban la Hashem. Right? Bringing a sacrifice is not this voodoo. That, I brought a sacrifice and everything is taken care of. It is meant to be, the root of the word karban is karov, close. It is meant to be a very intense, spiritual encounter that you've got to bring mikem. It's got to come from you. Right? It's not this voodoo, I do the animal. No, it has to be something that gets inside of me. It's like I'm bringing an offering of myself to Hashem. And I've said a number of times, to us, sacrifices don't do it for us, at least for myself, right? The thought of sacrifices does not come across as a very, very, as very spiritually uplifting, right?
It's a painful experience.
I'm sorry?
It comes as a painful experience.
Yeah.
When you write a check, it kind of hurts.
Okay. Now, clearly, right? Again, we have difficulty relating to it as a spiritual experience. But 2 points I want to make. Number 1 is that when the 3rd temple will be rebuilt and this will be reinstated, along with that will need to come a renewed appreciation of this spiritual aspect of it. But before we get to that point, we have no problems using animals for our clothing, right? Unless a person is vegan, right? We have no problems using animals, right? There can't be tsar balei chayim. We can't act with cruelty. But to utilize animals, that is an understanding of our station in life. Someone once said, I think very, very insightfully, that a lot of these animal rights, it's not a matter of elevating the status of animals, it's a matter of lowering the status of human beings. Right? Who am I? Right? Why am I any more important than the cow? So who am I? No. Who are you? You were created in the image of God. You were given a soul, and you're meant to utilize this world in the proper way to uplift this world. That's who you are. You are not a further evolutionized ape or cow. You are in a different realm. Now, you must do it with care. You must do it with compassion. Right? But that's who you are. But we have no problems using animals for other things, for our physical needs. So we shouldn't have a problem in using animals for our spiritual needs. The reason we struggle with it is because, A, we don't see and sense the spirituality in sacrifices. And B, we don't give importance to spirituality, right? So of course I could use it for my Nike sneakers, because that will allow me to play a better game of basketball or tennis. But why should I use it for spirituality? Because that's not nearly as important as my game of tennis, my game of basketball, or my morning run where I need my Nikes. Right? So those are the issues that we contend with. But the idea of the sacrifice is meant to be that I'm giving a part of myself, mikem. I'm giving a part of myself to Hashem. I'll just end with, I saw an interesting parallel that's drawn. There's blood involved. And there's also the fats of the animal that's involved. Right? What does that have to do? Right, so on the Ramban's on one level, a person's supposed to feel that should be me over there. And instead, vicariously, we're doing it through the animal, but I'm recognizing that, wow, that should have been me. Right? I'm living here in God's world, being energized by God every moment. And I took those gifts to go against, wow, that should be me. But the blood, right? When we talk about the blood, we talk about, my blood boiled, right? That's and that's my passion, right? And we think of the fats. What do we think of?
Nourishment.
Nourishment, yeah, but more metaphorically.